Well, welcome everybody. This is Instant Customers Weekly Q&A webinar. My name is Rick DeLeon. I'm here with Gene Scally. This is episode number 8. I have a really nice, really big show for you today. We're going to be delving into the wonderful world of emails. So,
Rick, why don't you tell us a little bit about what Instant Customer is?
I would love to. I've got no.
What? It should be there. It's showing.
Moving forward. Really?
Does nobody see screen number 2?
There we go. All right, so for those of you who are just getting started with Instant Customer or coming to us brand new or don't even have an account yet, Instant Customer is the fastest, easiest way to build a list, sell your products, services, make money, and build an intimate, authentic relationship with your prospects and customers on autopilot if you just know how to do it right, which is what we're here for.
Right. And you can get it now if you don't have it. Just go to instantcustomer.com/getsecret.
And that is a secret link, so
keep it under your hat.
Don't guard it. Share it with a friend. Instant Customer is definitely for smart small business owners. Who else, Jane?
Authors. Experts,
speakers,
consultants,
service professionals, really for anybody that understands that old school marketing is both expensive and not very efficient these days. Building your own list and marketing directly to that list.
That's the way to go.
That's the way to go, no doubt. If you're not doing it, you're leaving money on the table absolutely every time. What you're going to discover today in today's webcast, you're going to learn from the ICU pros, Gene and myself. We're going to be talking about creating engaging emails, both strategy and tactics.
Right, and this is a topic that people suggested to us last week.
Exactly. So, we definitely are listening. We are going to do more demo stuff today per your requests. We're your humble servants. We're going to answer as many of your questions as we can. We'll talk about how to submit a question here in a sec, and we will give you some special offers at the end of the webinar.
All right, before we begin, let's go through the usual, right?
Absolutely.
First, this webinar is being recorded, and there'll be a replay available later. You'll be able to get it from your Instant Customer inbox, so go check there if you're looking for a review or to check something that we said. Rick, why don't you tell us what makes a good question?
Yeah, what makes a good question, just keep in mind that questions are sometimes taken out of order. We really do try to work them in when they make sense. So when you're putting your question in the chat box, please make it a complete question so we, if we have to come back to it, we know what the context is. Don't expect it to be answered right away. Please try to keep your questions relevant to what we are talking about on today's webcast. If you do have other questions, definitely feel free to put them in. We do use those to configure content for future webinars, and if we can, if it doesn't fit into that, we'll try to answer those directly as well.
Right. We have one more housekeeping thing before we start today.
Yes, so most of you are probably already getting the text and email reminders for these webinars, but if you are not on that list, please, we're just going to use some Instant Customer here to sell Instant Customer. Just text your name and email to 858-208-0989, and you'll get on that list. You'll get updated links to our Tuesday webinars, and you'll get a little text alert as well.
And our tip of the week this week?
Tip of the week this week.
If you got assistants, the best way to deal with them is to use sub-accounts.
Absolutely. Sub-accounts are a fairly new feature, so we are excited to finally have them in there. Gene, why don't you give everybody a little primer on what you use them for?
Sub-accounts are a great way to set up your assistant so they have limited access in your account. And I use these all the time with my assistants. And what I do is I restrict either the campaigns that they're working on or the type of work that they can do for me. And Rick, if you're ready, we can just roll a demo on that.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and...
I'm going to switch control over to you.
I got it. Why don't you let me know when
you should have it now.
Okay, so this is actually one of our Instant Customer accounts.
Make sure you show the screen.
Yep, I got it there. So this is just my Instant Customer account. This is my home page here. I'm going to go real quick, like we said. The a link to the replays, in case you're interested, is right here in your inbox, which does have alerts and other updates. So you can see right here your Q&A replay links. You can just click there to go to the page that has all the replay links on it. And if you're not already on the list, like we just gave a minute ago, you can click there to join that same update list to get the text and the email reminders for the webinars. In this case, we're going to take a look at where the sub-accounts are. Now, your profile and preferences, like in most, just like in Google or anywhere else, is up here at the top right under your name. So you just click on your name there. This has all kind of, that's where your contact information is, your social media info, your account settings, and in this case, we're going to go look at sub-accounts. You can view your existing sub-accounts on the one tab, and you can create a new one right here.
Let's go create a new one.
I'm going to do just that. So let's just take a look at some of the options that you have. You're going to give that sub-account a name. You have to give it an email address. That person is going to have to log into the system with their own email address and their own password. In this case, it's your account. You can set those to be whatever you like. Gene, you have any recommendations for password links here?
Yeah, set it up for you and make the password tricky.
Tricky? I mean, the standard would be six digits or 6 characters or more, an uppercase.
So what I usually do is do the person's first name, maybe with a couple of uppercase letters in different places than what you might expect, and I throw in some
couple
numbers.
Of numbers, maybe. Yeah. So, you know, it would be the same as any password anywhere. There are definitely security concerns there. You have complete control over that, so you can change that at any time. You can lock somebody out. You can delete one of these, you know, whatever you need to do. I think the most important things are, what for you, Gene? You've got access to profile and preferences, which you don't really want to give to many
I do not give anybody access to profile and preferences.
Okay,
what
so
I tend to do is I access only to their account. So I don't check anything until I see access to create new campaigns. And I let them create new campaigns and edit the campaigns that they have created. So those are the only 2 things I do because I don't want them messing with anything else that's going on in my account.
Okay, so great. So, you know, depending on who you are, you can give them access to all campaigns. That would be somebody, obviously, who you trusted a whole heck of a lot there.
That would be a partner. Yeah.
The ability to create new campaigns, really what's the only consequence to that is they're going to be allocating phone numbers using points.
Which is fine.
Which, yeah.
My assistants typically help me create the campaigns. I'll write the content. They'll put it together for me. And the other thing is I don't want them to export any subscribers.
Yeah, I think that's, you know, almost any business, that's a really big security hole. You don't want people coming in and stealing your lists.
That's right.
Absolutely agree with that 100%.
And so then I'd go and I'd check individual campaigns to let them work on the campaigns.
Which I think those 2 things, the ability to create campaigns, that is something that obviously if you're training somebody, you're going to want them to do that, either copying campaigns and modifying them or creating new ones from a template maybe or even from scratch. But getting to that point where you're managing somebody and leveraging your time rather than trying to do everything yourself. I think we talked about this last week where, you know, you've got to set some sort of value on your own time. A lot of this stuff is something you should be paying somebody 10 or 20 bucks an hour to do. You should be, or less, you should be focusing on things that your time is worth a lot more than that to do. You don't want to be You don't want to be devaluing yourself over the long run by doing everything yourself. Right.
Like I said, I create the content, and then I have an assistant who puts it all together for me. And I'm just specific in my content what it's supposed to be and what the timing of delivery is. And we'll get to talk about some of that today with our email subject.
Exactly, and you approve and oversee all of that. Anyway.
Right.
You need to be a manager, not a worker.
Right.
And so you can just check individual campaigns right there, depending on who you have doing what. You know, if you have a client, say that they wants access to their own account.
This is exactly what it's perfect for.
That's exactly.
You can even let a client come in and do their own little broadcasts and manage their own list.
You know, and that is something we've had a lot of requests for ever since I've been with Instant Customer, the ability for somebody to come in, and we had the pizza place. So it's a perfect example where their freezer went down and they wanted to send out a broadcast that said, you get $5 off any pizza tonight, we're just trying to blow them out. It was really effective, but they actually had to call their rep, you know, their Instant Customer rep, to do that for them because I didn't want to give them access to the whole shooting match.
Right, and so if you're setting up a customer to access their own account, then the one thing you would want to give them is the ability to export their list.
Yes, but in this case,
with my assistants, I don't. But with
right.
a customer, I would let them export.
Right, I don't. But in this case, that's not. Well, yeah, it would only if they only had access to the one.
No, they would only have access to their
They
campaign.
can only export the one that's absolutely.
Yep.
So yeah, that's perfect. All right. So our tip of the week is start using your.
Yeah, don't be afraid of using your sub account.
Yeah, I would, and like everything else, make sure you test them first before you let them loose on whoever's doing it.
Yeah, absolutely. We can't stress this one enough. Always test, 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 test. So, Rick, are you seeing my screen back again?
I do.
Okay, well, I'm going to move on then. Our hero of the week this week is Delmetri Williams, or it might be Delmetri. I'm sorry if I mispronounced your name. I've picked Delmetri out for a really specific reason. She was invited to a networking event for women, and she didn't have a business card. So she set up a campaign real quick, and she went and she used her campaign to kind of, like we tell people to do instead of networking without a business card. She got 2 appointments from doing that. And after that, she had 3 more inquiries wanting her to come and demo what she's got and show her Mojo. And so I don't know if she's got any sales yet, but I'm calling her out because she wasn't afraid to try, and she went out there and did it and started seeing immediate reactions. And so, Delmetri, you are our hero of the week. I hope you're online and listening, or I hope somebody tells you that you were the hero of the week, because just getting out there and trying something is awesome. And I want to inspire others to go and do it.
I totally agree. This kind of business, any kind of marketing business, really almost any business, you're going to have your failures. You don't need to have a perfect track record here. You need to learn as you go. You're going to have plenty of opportunities out there to do this. If you, I think it was Jimmy Harding on one of the webcasts for Mojo said that his closing rate was only like 30%.
Right.
So,
but he still goes out and does it.
Right. So at some point you just turn it into a numbers game and grab as many appointments as you can, close what you can, and then you're going to get referrals. That closing rate's going to go way up. I know, Eugene, your closing rate is a lot higher, but a lot of yours are on direct referrals from people that have already seen results from friends and things like that.
Yeah, well, it's part that, and it's part confidence. And then one of the things I wanted to say when you were talking earlier is that the more that you do this, the more confidence you'll have. And so even if you have a really bad pitch rate, if you're like pulling in 5% of everything you pitch, it's an opportunity to go out there and hone your speech and become comfortable in your demonstration skills, and that's what's going to sell.
The name of the game is no matter what you're doing, you have to learn from whatever you learn from your successes and your failures, but take your shots. Just make sure that you're evaluating what you're doing in as honest a way as you possibly can.
Right.
You're really just trying to get results. That's going to be different for each client,
right.
And you're going to have to learn. You're going to have to learn each client's what's going to work for them.
You're just going to have to learn to connect with your clients and be passionate about what you can do.
I think that's a major key to success in this business.
Absolutely.
If you don't connect with your clients, how are you going to be able to help them connect with their
clients?
Yeah, with their clients. It's going to be, I guess there are some situations where you might know their demographic better than the business owner. I mean, that can be totally different. But typically, they know their demographic pretty darn well.
Right.
They're just having a hard time getting to them in this kind of economy.
So, Hero of the Week, Del, keep it up, and hopefully we'll be able to see you with a hero story soon. All right, next up, we're going to talk about creating engaging emails.
All right, we are getting into the
heart of the matter.
And
I want to start with some important considerations first. First, most important thing is you need to be dodging spam filters constantly. And 40 to 60% of emails that are sent actually don't even get to the people they're intended for. And that's because of spam filters. Spam filters check a bunch of things, but the 3 most important things are the subject line, the sender's domain name, and the return email address. We're going to talk a little bit more of those in a minute. And the other things we're going to talk about is increasing open rates, timing, when to send your emails to get increased open rates, and of course my favorite subject, testing everything. So first up is how to avoid the spam filters. And here, are you? All right, it didn't look like it was switching the screen for everybody. So subject line is one of the most important
it's huge,
things.
No doubt about it, and not only for filters, but for open rates.
Yeah, it is for both. But for spam filters, it is the first place any spam filter checks. It is the first thing that'll get you tossed into the trash. And some of the things that you need to be very cognizant of, using marketing catchphrases in your subject line, things like free, limited time, mortgage, special offer, buy now, click here, discounted, just for you. Anything that you might see that shows up in your mailbox that looks like spam, probably at a really high risk for getting you thrown into the trash.
Is there any kind of resource you use to keep current on that kind of vocabulary?
There are several, and I will share them with you in a little bit. The other thing that'll get you thrown out, all caps in your subject line.
Yeah, it's been overused so much, like anything else. Anything that gets overused, the filters are gonna be programmed around.
Right. The other thing, and people often forget this, is punctuation. If you're using multiple exclamation points, especially, exactly, that's a surefire piece of spam, and that'll get you thrown out.
You know, I've actually seen from a couple of different online marketers that I follow, Brendan Burchard and Ed Dale, they actually have gone to using all lowercase. What do you think about that?
I'm not real partial to it.
Yeah, I don't really like it coming across, but I'm just wondering if you have any insight as to why they just not do something different, or
it's not flagging anything right now. It doesn't get you thrown in or get you thrown out. And the reason I tend to avoid it is, to me, it's just kind of lazy. And if somebody's going to send me an email, if you're looking all lowercase, to me, I'm going to think you're just spam. Like, even my friends would have thrown in an occasional capitalized word. And
yeah, it smacks to me of somebody who's overreacting to some of the things you're talking about.
Absolutely.
They're going the other way, which means it's at some point they're going to filter for that.
And that is one of the most important things you just said. At some point, because these filters are constantly adapting and being updated.
So is there any reason not to just send it as if you were sending an email to a friend?
You absolutely should send it as if it's going to a friend. And that'll do two things for you. It'll keep you from getting in the spam folder, but it will probably also help increase your open rates. Because people want to see something that does a couple of things, and we'll talk about this in a minute. But if it looks like it's coming from a friend, it's more than likely going to get clicked to open. So let's jump onto some of those other things here. Content also gets trapped in spam filters, and the content is what's on the inside of your message.
Yeah, there's some big ones here. I mean, there were even some ones that I know of, which means they're pretty bad.
Yeah, this one's one that you know of, and one that's really bad, and one that a lot of our users misuse. Now, the difference is here, HTML and plain text emails. As you know, Instant Customer lets you create both an HTML, which is the pretty formatted version of an email, and a plain text email. Long, long ago, there was only one way to do it, and it was plain text. And when HTML came around, people started getting really fancy and making things really pretty, and they started ignoring the plain text. And spam filters recognize that the people making them pretty were marketers. So spam filters check. And if you don't have an HTML and a plain text email, you have a higher likelihood of being thrown into the spam filter. And you know, what I maybe should do is just take a minute and explain how a spam filter works. I can't give you the exact recipe because, like every search engine, every spam filter is a little bit different.
Yeah, that's really problematic because what we see a lot, with our emails, and our deliverability rate is like 97%, has been for like 2 years. But there's a huge difference between, I mean, you'll see individual ones that we have a hard time getting through. I know we had a hard time with HostGator for a while, and just periodically different specific email servers get programmed one way, and It's very tough to keep up with.
Yeah, so make sure you have both an HTML and a plain text email. And then real quickly, here's how a spam filter works. The spam filter takes a look at your email and it rates everything and it gives it percentages of a point. And then they have a threshold. And they say, let's say the threshold is randomly 20. If your email is over 20, it goes to spam. And if it's under 20, it gets through. Now, that threshold can be changed, and these filters are updated constantly. So things are always shifting, just like a search engine. And the other thing is, there's more than one spam filter that you've got to jump through.
Absolutely.
There's, starting at the user side, there's one that, if they're in a corporate environment, might get set by their company. Okay. At the individual level, they can set a spam filter. Backing it up, so individual, corporate, back where we send, if your email is coming in through an email server, like Gmail or Yahoo or any of those, they also filter. And so there's at least 3 gates, sometimes as many as 4 or 5, and all of them can filter differently.
Yeah, totally, because some actually will block, and if it's at like a email server level, it might actually block it. Usually if it's at the user's email client, they'll just toss it into a spam folder or send it straight to trash. Usually it won't completely block it unless it's got some sort of virus protection coming through, which we don't have to worry about too much because we don't send, right now we still don't allow attachments. That's really one of the reasons why, that way we don't have to worry about passing through any kind of harmful stuff at all. The other thing about the code, I mean, that I've seen is, you sometimes see pictures or people send through an email that's just one giant picture.
Yeah, so let's go back to these things that make content get filtered. So there's the HTML and plain text piece. And there's proper code. If you're going to send an HTML email, you need to have proper HTML code. If you're doing your HTML in something like Microsoft Word, and then you're copying and pasting it into your HTML inbox email thing, it's going to screw up the code, and that will get it bounced.
So I've seen it. Definitely.
If you're going to make a proper HTML email, make sure that you know HTML code or have somebody who does do it for you. Other things that will get your content thrown out. All caps, and believe it or not, bright red or green fonts.
Yep.
And I think I might have forgotten to include that one. Rick, I did. I'm sorry. Big, one single image emails.
Yeah, that's considered.
That'll get you thrown out first.
I mean, one of the things I definitely recommend is to find a good online spam checker. I mean, you can take your code and run it through a kind of a spam checker that will, obviously, like Gene said, each one is programmed a little bit differently, but you can get a good idea, and if you throw some of those kind of things in there, you get marked at like 80%.
Yeah, and I'll show you in a minute where you can go and check your email, so you'll be able to test it and see what it might score like.
Yeah, and this goes back to some of the things we've talked about in previous webinars as well, where thinking, taking a look at kind of the state of what everybody else is doing and thinking a little bit out of the box, how to make something pop out without using the exact same color or size or font or punctuation that everybody else is doing is going to give you a big advantage. It takes some work.
Yeah, and the key is really to keep things clear and simple. And clear and simple will always get through. Now, there's a couple questions coming up, and people are asking, when I refer to HTML and plain text email, do I mean to include them both? Absolutely, I do. Rick, I'm going to switch it over to you so you can show people what I mean here. And control is yours.
All right, got it. So we're going to continue. You still got your bullet points over there that you can continue to roll through. But we're going to go ahead and do inside of Instant Customer and show you exactly what we're talking about here on some of this stuff. So, I mean, there's a couple ways to get to your campaigns. I typically go straight up here to the little shortcut bar and go straight to View All. You can also go through Manage It to get to your campaigns. I just think this way is a little bit easier. We're going to use one of Gene's little test campaigns here. And we're going to go through a number of different things, how to do some of this in your actual emails. We'll go ahead and just create a new autoresponder. I'm just going to hit the autoresponder tab on this campaign. You can see right now we've got nothing in there at all. And I'm just going to come over here to the toolbar on the right-hand side where you can see you can add an SMS, you can add an email, direct cell voicemail, or a postcard. Had good news on the postcard front lately. We're doing more testing, but that should be pretty much usable here really soon. So just to keep on exactly what we were talking about right there, you can see in your email that you've got an HTML version and you've got a plain text version. So, to do the HTML, you could just use the little WYSIWYG editor here and do whatever you want. You can play with the size, you can play with your font family, and this...
Type a line in there or copy and paste a line in and just show somebody how easy it is to format it.
So we're going to make something just an Arial. And how about like first name tags? You ever use that in your subject line? Does that have anything to do with your...
and I do use them in the subject line. And somebody was asking on the chat roll here if it was a good idea to use them in the subject line.
That's why I'm reading.
And yeah, I like them.
So where are you going to use it? At the beginning? Hi, hey Bob?
Depends on my subject. I want it to sound natural, and I want it to sound like it's actually coming from somebody they know. So I sometimes start it with like first name. Okay, good. So let's, because whenever you're doing this, this is something that people have to keep in mind that, let's say you didn't get the first name, or the first name might be goofy. And here's something that's actually a little bit better. Rather than using somebody's first name in your subject line, you have a better open rate if you use your company name.
Use your company name?
Yeah, use the company name. So if you use the company name tag and then say something like January's newsletter, you'll have a higher open rate than if you say Bill, January's newsletter from so-and-so, or January's exciting offers. Exciting offers is probably going to get thrown out, but Instant Customers January newsletter will get a higher open rate than Bill, here's some news from Instant Customer.
So depending on whether or not, and we'll take a look in a second, but depending on whether or not you filled some of these things in the campaign description or the campaign details,
right?
Which you can always go back and fill in later. We would do something like, and again, we're just going to go to the tags here. And again, these are replacement tags, what used to be known as merge fields in the old
you can check a previous webinar if you need more information on tags.
Yeah, absolutely. We did a whole...
So just go down there and select company name.
So I'm just going to go down here and click on company name, and you can see it comes up right there. So you're saying like a newsletter?
Yeah, or January newsletter, April, March, whatever it happens to be.
Oh, yeah. I don't think we want to do January. And here's where we want to use the first name tag.
Yeah, down in the email.
Back to the tags. If you're unfamiliar with it, personal tags are tags that have to do directly with subscribers. Intelligence tags have to do with their social
media, right?
The subscriber social media, and maybe a discourse if they've taken the DISC assessment. Campaign tags have to do with the campaign owner, with the campaign name, having things to do with the campaign itself. Event tags, if you have a webinar scheduled, there are lots of different tags in there that you can use in your emails. A URL to get to the webinar link, the date of the webinar, things like that, and then some conditional reporting and custom tags down at the bottom. So if we're looking for first name, that's the subscriber's first name. That would be personal information for them. So I'm just going to go down and click first name. I know that Mike likes to format it like this. He likes to say hi first name and put a hyphen directly after it, and this is because...
He likes to do this because if he doesn't have somebody's first name, then it will just say hi with a dash, and it won't be anything crazy in terms of formatting.
Yeah, right. It'll look fairly well formatted whether there's a first name there or not.
Right.
Which again, going to tags, if there is no information in that field, that will not show up. If there is information in that field, it will show up. If you misspell the tag for any reason, then the goofy code will show up,
right?
Because the system has no clue what the heck you're trying to do. So this would be...
Just put like, here's your newsletter for this month, and just to show people what HTML email will look like, go ahead and highlight the word newsletter and make it a little bit bigger and in a different color. not bright red or bright green.
I'm just going to say this month we have 3 exciting events. You can put them in there, whatever. What did you want me to do there?
Highlight something on that line and make it a different color.
And this just works like any other WYSIWYG editor. You can just scroll over.
Click the little tool that is the A with the little block of gray
So
underneath.
you can do like a background, and you'll see a lot of times.
I would avoid the background
I
color.
know. I'm just saying this is where if you have a job and somebody wants to have a yellow
Highlighted
all
background,
you have to do
likely
is
spam.
click right there, but you still see tons of them that have it. I'm gonna, you know what I'm gonna do so everybody can see this a little bit better. I'm just
Your little
going
thing.
to increase my font size a little bit, a little gigantic. Well, that's a little bit too big.
No, that's fine.
But you can see all you really need to do is highlight things.
What I really want to show is how to get this into a plain text email and the difference between the two.
Excellent. So yeah, I'm gonna make this. You got a color for me?
Yeah, make it blue.
Make it blue.
Make it
You
blue.
got
There
it.
we
So
go.
you can see
There.
this month we have, and that's to me that stands out.
Right.
You know, rather nice.
And so a plain text version of this, what I would typically do is I would just copy everything here
Yep.
and go paste it into the plain text side. And there's another way you can do it too, but I tend not to do it that
I
way.
gotta say this is my way of choice. I would say this is best practice. This way you're gonna get your formatting.
You get it nice and clean. That's why I do it.
Yeah, if there's another way.
It's the copy HTML link at the top of the page, but sometimes that
Right
gets spacing kind of
Yeah,
funky
you know
or
what?
other stuff.
And just for fun, let's go take a look at it and show you the difference between it. It'll do it, but the problem is, there is a link up here that says copy HTML to plain text. I'm just gonna tap that. And when you come over, it brings everything over, but it does have some coding with it. Not really a big fan of this. I think the devs are still working on that. But to me, this is easy. Just copy and paste.
Because one of the things you want to avoid is including any HTML code or any funky code in your plain text email.
Exactly right.
Most people won't get your plain text email. They'll get your HTML email. But there's still a good number of people who will, and you want it clean and easy to read. So copy and paste for best practice.
Right, and the reason some people are getting plain text and others are getting HTML, that's just a setting you typically on their email client.
Not always. There are definitely companies that I've worked with that insist.
Corporate environment.
That's right. They will spam out or filter out anything that includes any HTML.
That's a great point.
Yeah, and in defense industry companies, they often do that as well.
Oh, okay.
So keep it clean, keep it simple. Make sure you have plain text and an HTML, and you're good to go.
Cover as many bases as you can. That's why we give you this to cover both.
Okay, I'm going to take control back because I can.
Because you can.
Yep.
No.
And I should have it back again. Yep. So that's how to avoid filters for the majority for your subject line and your content. And now I want to talk about increasing your open rates. And first is using your subject line to help increase your open rates. Now, first thing your subject line should do is grab attention. If you give people a compelling reason to open your email, they will. And if that means it should be relevant and it shouldn't be salesy or pushy. So those subjects that I gave you before that include things like free report and special offer, those are big no-nos on the email subject line.
Well, I certainly hope then you have some alternatives for us.
Heck no. It's up to you and your content. Yeah, my alternative is this. Describe what's in your email and keep it simple. And that makes it clear and understandable. And we'll talk about how your email should actually have value and how to use that in your subject line in just a minute. But this is where I was getting at by putting in the company name and the newsletter. Because if I was sending you a copy of my newsletter, and I'm Instant Customer, right, I should say Instant Customers newsletter for March. Something that tells you what it is. Here's the thing, if you make it too salesy or pushy, people are just going to delete it before they even read it, right? And if you keep it clear and they know what it is, and the content, we'll get to that in a minute, but the content has value, it's going to be read. When somebody opens their email, they have limited amount of time. So if you're giving them something regularly that has value to them, they're going to read it or set it aside and read it later. But if you don't, it's going to get deleted. So you'll pass your spam filter, but you won't pass the person filter.
Yeah, I was talking about those, a couple of those guys that were using it all lowercase. And I have to say that I probably opened those more often than I did other ones.
Really?
But because the specific ones they were sending like that weren't salesy or pushy.
Yeah,
That's
subtle.
The content or the content of that subject line actually matched the style of it. It was just really simple. It was like, hey, here's a video for you, or
and that's something a lot of internet marketers are doing now, is they're trying to make it seem like your best friends sending you something. They're like, hey, Rick, watch this video.
Yeah, that's pretty much, along the lines of what these were. And here's what I think the really interesting thing was for me as a guinea pig here. The ones I opened, a couple of them were just inviting me to video. Actually, one was Frank Kern, and Frank Kern has a video actually coming up. And I opened that, and I've seen some of his, and I like the stuff. Another one was, I will not mention names, but it was clearly a thinly veiled attempt to get me to go somewhere to his affiliate link to buy something. And I not only deleted that, I unsubscribed from that.
Yeah.
Because the expectation that was set up was completely betrayed in the content. So he tried to trick me, and in this case, it totally backfired.
Tricking your readers is never a good idea. And putting on things that are overly pushy in a subject line will cause an unsubscribe. I've done it too. So two things you want to do is you want to make sure that you're not too salesy, and you want to, and we're just talking about subject lines here, make sure you're not too salesy, and make sure that your content is relevant to your subject line and relevant to your audience. It really comes down to knowing your audience.
Yeah, I always talk about managing expectations,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's in a sales situation, whether it's in a employee-employer relationship, however it is. If you're setting an expectation that you're going to give somebody content, and I've got some lists that I've been on for years.
Me too.
Because it's just
because content is good.
Article, and do I buy every single time? No, but I buy probably something at least once a year, a couple $100 from most.
Well, and we're going to get to this on our next slide, but it is, in my opinion, the most important thing about an engaging marketing campaign, and that is that you're constantly giving value, and you're giving it for free, and that's what creates the relationship and leads to more sales.
I totally agree, and you see it all the time for marketers. You can talk about generics. You can talk about principles.
Mm-hmm.
You can talk about some case studies left and right, and most people, all that does is establish you as somebody who knows what they're talking about.
Right.
Because if they have, for their individual situation, they're going to need more. They're either going to need a direct consult from you, they're going to need to buy a bigger package, they're going to need, they're going to need to buy something to apply it to them. They're really just looking to qualify you this whole time.
That's right. All of the email campaigns that I create, or any of the instant customer campaigns I create, I do it with the intent of keeping people on the line, right? Of having an ongoing relationship with them and an ongoing discussion.
Yeah, that's
and
your definition of relationship.
I was going to say, we should have a little talk here about open rates too. I completely ignored it on this presentation, but an average open rate across all industries right now is hovering around 12%.
Really?
And what that means?
It's even down. The last one I saw last year was around the 20s.
Yeah, no, it's much lower. It's 12 to 14%, and it's hovering now around 12. And the more emails that go out, the fewer are being opened. And
that's
so
free, so people are going to throw them out with no.
Well, so that people understand, an open rate is the percentage of people who actually open your email versus the number that you send, right? So if your average open rates are hovering around 12%,
I'm going to take this back so we can.
Anything over that is really, really good, right? Some of my emails have phenomenal open rates, and it comes from just being true, your subject line matching your content, and knowing your audience, and having ongoing discussions with them.
Okay. Yeah, no, I totally agree. We've got a bunch of questions.
Yeah,
I'm going to go over. I'm going to go over a couple. We are.
But before we get to them, can we
go
just? I was going to say, can we just go through one more slide?
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
Let's go through one more slide, and then we'll answer some more
You
questions.
wanna take it back?
Yeah, I'm going to take it back.
Because I just wanted to, I do definitely want to show people how to track open rates in Instant Customer,
Yeah.
how to put in coupons, how to put in images.
Right. So let's
put
go
in
through the
links,
content
things like
slide
that.
first. So talking about open rates
You take it
and
back.
what makes it. Yeah, can you see my screen?
I cannot. Maybe I can. Yeah, I can.
Okay. Open rates content?
Yes.
Okay. So value in an email. And what I put in here in parentheses is having original content versus repackaged content. A lot of people are in this habit of taking different pieces from around the web and putting it all in one email to consolidate for their subscribers.
Absolutely.
If somebody knows that, and most people do, because you'll say, I got this from here, I got this from there. If you're not saying that, you should be. It's plagiarism.
Not only that, but I mean, most people are happy that you're doing that.
Well, here's the thing. If you're not adding original content to that mix, then all you're doing is repackaging. And when push comes to shove in somebody's email box, they know that they can get that content elsewhere. They're going to delete your email and not read it. So original content is part of the key to having a higher open rate. It adds value.
I mean, I do think there's a place for both. I mean, you look at a site like Dig that's just an aggregator.
No, there definitely is. But you got
to be really good at it all the time.
Yeah, and so even if you're aggregating some content, I would argue that you need to add value by adding some of your own, or else they can get that from anywhere.
LinkedIn, that's all they do. I get an update from LinkedIn every once in a while, and I hate that. I delete that right away.
Right.
Because they're just giving me a couple of articles from.
Yeah, from wherever, and you're going to get them if you want them.
Yeah,
so, add value. Make your emails usable. So by this I mean give a discount, my favorite ethical bribe.
Ethical bribes are good.
Tips. Something they're not going to get from anywhere, and something that they're going to want and look forward to, right?
Yeah, and I think that goes to your subject line as well. What's in it for the person?
Always.
Why should they open it? Why should I open it?
What's in it for the user?
How many times you go to your email and you are not saying, why should I open this, instead of why should I not? You're getting so much of it, you really are asking why instead of why not.
Right. So, tips, PDF files, whatever it is that you're wanting to send to people, that adds value, that makes your content valuable. So do it. And then what else do I have here? Have a personality, right?
Huge.
Nobody wants to read drone.
Nobody.
And build relationships. So this is all kind of getting to my theme, and this will, I think, let us talk about some of these questions I see popping up here. Is how do I add a coupon? How do I add a discount?
Man, really, what I think of when I look at this slide?
What?
This is why social media is so successful.
Absolutely.
What is it doing? It's using
it shares
personality,
pictures and has personality, builds relationship.
If you have usable stuff on there, even if it's just entertainment value, at least for that.
Right. I'm going to turn
in a different space here, but that's just interesting. That's exactly why it's so successful right now.
That's right.
Okay, so we had a couple of there's a bunch of things really that I wanted. Yeah, there's tons of stuff to go over here. And let's just start with, I did say that you can track your open rates. So let's take a quick look at that. Where'd it go? What am I missing? There it is, right in there. So here's, open rates are tracked usually by just a single pixel image that's embedded in your email. So all you really have to do is turn that on, and your emails will be sent with a tracking pixel that nobody can see, but they do have to have images turned on in order for this to work. So your email open rates are always going to be just a shade underreported. I know that when I get my Gmail on my phone, I have pictures suppressed, so that doesn't, that won't show up on my regular email. I have the picture shown all the time because I've got plenty of antivirus stuff. It's just fine. I don't really have any problem with that at all. But I can't see any reason why you would not do this all the time. Can you? Every single email I send out, I turn on this.
I always use this.
Yeah, there's no reason not to.
There's really two things going on here that you should always do. One of them is track your open rates.
Ah, for sure. Your clients are going to want to know that. And this is why, like, if you've got some of these numbers on the top of your head, some of these industry-wide numbers, what open rates are,
right,
then you can compare and contrast how effective you are compared to somebody that's just got a, Mail Monkey account.
Well, and you'll be able to track over time. If you're doing a regular mailing,
great point.
You'll be able to see
what's working,
when it fell off, what people like, what they don't like, what subject lines work, which gets into a whole subject that we're probably not going to have enough time for today, which is A/B testing.
A/B testing, yeah. They're going to save that one for.
That's an advanced topic.
Yeah, that's going to be a topic all in and of itself.
Yeah.
But that actually, where we could do maybe something.
But
like
if a lot of us are working with businesses that are on the smaller side and not sophisticated with internet marketing, so they're not going to understand an open rate. But if you go to them and you tell them, look, open rates are typically 12 to 14%, and your first email has 94% of the audience opening it, it's going to get them excited.
That would get everybody excited.
It gets me excited.
You would.
I've got one of those.
You would have no free time. Okay. Another thing was how to put an image in. How about a coupon in here or a header image? How to,
Yeah.
Go.
Some of the better ways to do it.
Your favorite thing is not to dress up these emails too much, but
yeah,
using an image for a coupon is the way to go.
I don't use a lot of craziness in my emails because the more simple the email is, the more likely it's not going to get arrested by a spam filter.
And every email client formats things a little bit differently.
Yeah,
it's like
absolutely.
It's like a website in Internet Explorer is not going to
miserable
coded the same as Firefox, Chrome, or Safari. I did a couple of websites the other day that were completely different in the Mac versions than the other ones. So the simpler you keep this, the more likely it's going to look like.
It will look the way you want it to look. Right.
And no matter who gets.
Two things I do. I will include occasional pictures. Occasional. I will not load an email with 100 pictures. So if you're going to send out a single coupon, that's awesome. Two ways you can do it. You can either include the image in your email, but remember, that's only going to be visible in an HTML email. So you'll have to do something a little different for your plain text.
Absolutely.
And the other thing you can do is send a link.
Send a link.
And if you're sending a link, one of the cool things you can do with Instant Customer is you can track exactly who's opening that link.
That is correct.
So why don't you show us some of that,
yep.
Rick?
I'll do it the simple way first, and then the
more advanced.
a little bit of a trickier, harder way here. So let's say that you did want to put some sort of header up here. You can just use the WYSIWYG editor. I'm going to go through in a sec how I got these links, but basically I just went to the media center in this account, and anything that's in there, whether it's a PDF or an image, the links are available and you can use them. What I usually do then is I just open up Notepad, just some sort of text editor, and put my links up here. So you see I have one that's a picture, that's a logo, and this one is actually a PDF. So in this case, I'm just going to copy this link for my header. And I'm just going to look through my little WYSIWYG editor here, and right here there is a way to insert and edit an image. So really this is very simple. You can just click it. It'll bring up a properties box, and I can just drop that URL directly into there. You want to put some sort of little description.
Yeah, so what you want to do here is you definitely want to include a description and a title for the image. And you want to do this because visually impaired individuals may use systems that will read the description for them. And this also may help you with some backlinking and SEO kind of stuff for your website.
Totally correct. So really this is all I would have to do and just insert the picture. Now what I'm going to show you here is actually really interesting. It looks like there's nothing there, but my problem is if you look, this image that I put in here is
way too big.
Enormous. Okay?
Way too big.
Now in a lot of editors or in a lot of other things you would do, you would have to go calculate aspect ratios and change those. big mess, right? This is actually really cool because really all you have to do is click on the picture, and as you can see, as soon as I clicked on it, this image box went back, so I can just go back and edit that. And if I go to the Appearance tab, you can see that there's dimensions here, and the proportions will stay the same.
Nice.
So let's just say that I only really want this to be 150. I'm just going to make it 150 pixels wide because this isn't a whole banner. If this was a whole banner, right, I may make it 400 or 500 pixels wide. In this case, it's just a logo that I've got on here, so it would look kind of goofy like that. And so I'm just going to change that, and I'm going to hit a little tab button here so you can see that that automatically changed the height on that as well. And if I update this, you can see, bam, it just went, right to their nice little logo right there. So
perfect.
I think this is a big improvement. That, at least that part of it, a big improvement over a lot of other WYSIWYG editors I've seen. So, learn how to use that. You don't have to worry about the sizes for a change. It's really kind of nice. So you could do this exact same thing if you had a coupon and your coupon was just an image, and that's typically how people would do it. You would just make an image of your coupon and just drop it in. Just drop it into the same way, no different.
Now, if you were going to use a link instead, you have another file there that's a PDF. And it looks like we're going to run a little bit long today, so I just want to give everybody a warning right now.
We'll get moving here. So here's a great set of tips. So if you take that's now we're just going to make a link in here. So let's say I have a set of tips and it's just a PDF. I upload that PDF into Instant Customer, and I want to make this into a link. All I got to do is highlight this, come up here, and it looks like a big anchor. But I'm just going to click that, and very similarly, that's going to bring me a properties box that's just asking for a link.
You don't have to do it as the anchor. I would actually use the chain there and just put the link.
I missed it.
Yep.
Hold on a second.
Sorry, guys. I got him a little unraveled when I told him to move it. I gave him something you don't see, but the visual for speed that up, please. And it totally threw him off the wagon.
No, I was just kind of fascinated by the anchor symbol.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, it is the link. Absolutely. So I can just put my URL to my PDF in there.
Right.
Now, the target means what's going to happen when you click it. Without fail, I open it in a new window. I don't want people leaving my stuff. I want them to be able to get back to my stuff. I want it to open in a new window.
Absolutely. Make this link open in a new window so they still have their email up there. And then just give it a quick little title.
Yeah.
And insert it.
Now you can see that it's totally...
Now,
little link there.
I did say if you made something in an HTML email, you have to make sure you account for it in a plain text email. You can't have a link like this in a plain text email. So what you want to do is go over to that plain text email, if you're going to copy and paste it there, and then say, here's your link, and then paste the link in beside it.
Yep, and it's pretty simple. Just the same. You would just do something like this. Here's the PDF.
Right. And then just paste the link in there.
And just put it right in there. It's not as pretty, but people that are
in plain
text emails are used to it.
They're used to it.
They don't really care.
Now, what I would do even better is to use that URL in the click-through URL field.
All right. This is definitely the way
This is an advanced tag. But what this will do for you is you'll be able to track exactly who's clicking that link.
Right. Now, this has some interesting implications, though. This, in the plain text version, this is very easy to do, and it's just in wherever you use your click-through URL tag, and I'm just going to show you the difference here. We're going to go to tags, and what do we got? Campaign?
Oh yeah. Oh no, it's not showing anywhere up there in those things. It's just click underscore URL.
Well, I'll fix that. Basically, it's just going to replace wherever you use that tag. It's going to replace it with actually not this exact link. That link is going to be transformed into a clickable, trackable link,
Right.
so that you can not only tell how many people opened your email, but how many people actually clicked that link.
And who they were.
Yeah, who they were. The system actually tracks that, and you can get that through the reports.
Right, and that's useful if you're sending them to something like a sales page. So you'll be able to track how many people are actually interested in that sale.
Now, our only issue here is, and this is a really important one, guys, that you cannot use a tag inside of like one of these property boxes.
Right.
So I cannot go up in here and use the click URL tag in here. So you would have to.
Well, that's an advanced topic because I have a way around that.
Topic. But I mean, you certainly could just say, here's a great set of tips, bam, and put the click URL there.
Absolutely.
My experience is people don't care as much about the goofy, what these links look like as you think they do.
No, they don't.
You know, it depends on your client. You know, there's some clients that really want everything to look picture perfect. It's really, it's doable. It's just tricky.
And you're right what you say. It depends on the client because the subscriber, the reader of the email, doesn't really care.
They really don't care.
It's going to be how fussy your client is. And it's great to have a pretty email, but pretty email that's non-functional is not great.
Yeah,
and
I got to say, the people that are not going to click that link because it's long and looks goofy are typically not your.
They're not buyers
clients.
anyway.
They're not buyers.
Yeah.
They really aren't.
So your goal as a consultant to a business should be to give them the highest performing email you can give them, and create a whole campaign of that, right?
I totally agree. And look, you're going to be sending more than one email, right? You're going to be tracking your open rates. You're going to be tracking these click-throughs. One of them do it one way. The next one, try it the other way and see what the difference is.
We need an advanced topic on this.
You're always going to get another shot at most of this stuff and figure out which one's working best for you and your client.
Correct. I'm going to take back control.
All right.
I'm trying to keep us on a relative good schedule here.
All right.
All right. So let me know when you can see my screen.
I can see it.
All right. So we're talking more about open rates and building relationships. The next big topic is timing. I hear this all the time from people, like, when do I send my emails? And it's really industry specific. It depends on who your readers are. And, I think the more important than when do I send it is, am I sending quality? What's the quality of my list? And am I making them tired of getting emails from me?
Yep.
There's a very fine line between sending them too much information so that they just tune you out, and sending them not enough information so that when you do send something, they don't know who you are. People ask me all the time, like, how often should I send? It's going to depend on your industry. But I'm going to, at a minimum, twice a month.
Right. What do you do for the restaurants?
It depends on the restaurant.
Oh.
Some of them are weekly, and some of them are far less frequently.
All right. I think most of the ones that I'm on are monthly. They give you one monthly kind of coupon thing,
so
unless they've got a holiday or something like that.
My weeklies are giving out a short-term deal, good only for that week, and that's why it's a weekly. My less frequentlies, my twice a months, are sending out information that you can use or that would be of value to you to go to the restaurant. If you're only going once a month, they're not going to remember you. If you're going every other week at a minimum, you have a better chance of staying at the forefront of their memory. And what you really want from your emails is you want to remind people that you're there. I mean, once you've established your expertise, like, we're a great restaurant, once people know that, what you need to do is remind them that you're there, because they might be thinking about you and they just don't have a reason to go. And if you remind them you're there, they'll remember they liked your food, they don't really want to cook tonight, they were going to go out and eat out someplace anyways, might as well be your place.
So what about other carpet cleaner or other kind of professional services?
I would beg everybody at a minimum for twice a month.
You're going to go twice a month on that?
At a minimum. Because once a month is enough time for them to forget all about you.
And then how often are you changing what kind of buy opportunity is in there? I mean, the whole point is to get them to buy, right?
Yeah, so I'm going to give them something different every mailing.
Every single mailing is
every mailing.
something different.
And I might recycle them like once every 2 months, or once, once every 2 months if I'm going twice a month, but I would go no less than twice a month. All right, so that's the quality and the fatigue issue. I think we're all on somebody's list somewhere where we get way too much email and we want to jump off and unsubscribe. And that's the frequency. We just kind of wrap that one in as well. Time of day and day of week are going to be subject to your audience. You know, the mom crowd doesn't want to be hit up Monday morning at 8 o'clock when they're trying to get all the kids out to school.
That's good point.
But the worker crowd is probably going to want to blow some time off, you know, around 9 o'clock on a Monday morning. Best time for the worker crowd is usually midweek, just before lunch, because that's when they're going to start blowing some time off.
Yeah,
like
I know
11:45 to 1:45 is the big blow-off period in the office.
Yeah, Mike loves that 10 to 11.
Between
and then right after lunch.
And right after, that's right. Just before lunch and just after lunch, workers are blowing time. So as a marketer, capitalize on it.
Definitely.
And the best time to hit the office bunch is again going to be like Tuesday through Thursday. Monday's too busy. Friday they're going to leave early.
They're checked out.
That's right. Tuesday through Thursday. My favorite days are Tuesday, Wednesday.
What about, you have any problem on sending stuff on weekends?
Depends on your audience.
Depends on your audience.
The majority of workers are not going to check their computer on a weekend. Family people, probably not going to check their computer a lot on the weekend. Now, if you have an event on a weekend, you're going to want to send time around your event, right? Because people are going to be looking for that. They're going to be expecting that.
And when we talk about events, maybe 2 weeks.
I think the worst day to send anything is Sundays.
Yeah.
It's like low read rates and a high pile of junk comes in. And so what the people are more than likely to do is select everything and just delete it.
All right.
So timing is important. Basically, it all comes down to these 3 words for me. Know your audience.
Yeah, you got to do your homework.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the shortcuts are, not really that effective. The more you know, I mean, when you can go into a meeting, and I know you do, knowing as much or more about potential client's demographic as they do,
right,
you're in much better shape.
Do your homework.
Yeah, on the client and on the demographic.
Always. So, always.
And that's where, just experience and doing it is going to pay off.
Another important subject is testing. Test everything. And there are a couple of sites that you can use online to check and see if you're going to hit a spam filter or not. Yeah,
these are great. I would definitely, at least every once in a while, when you change your formatting or if you're adding stuff.
Or if you're just getting started, try to get a feel for something.
I think that's, if you haven't done that yet, if you've never used something like this, you absolutely have to use it. Take one of your emails and throw it through there. You'll be surprised.
I think you'll be shocked.
I do it at least once a month.
The first time you do it,
and it is really interesting.
You might just put your head down on the desk and cry because it probably took you an hour to make that email, and it comes up with like a 90% likely to be spam rating.
And then those are great though, because you could just change it. I mean, the one I've used that contactology, and you could just change it on the fly and resubmit it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Change.
And the other thing is, there's just 3 of them I put here. You do a check on the internet. Look for spam filter, email spam filters, or you're going to come up with 3 dozen of these sites.
And I would say, don't be surprised if you see one built into Instant Customer at some point this year.
Yeah, and there's a lot of questions coming up. Aweber rates them. All the mail servers like MailChimp, Aweber, Instant Contact, Benchmark, all of them have some of this kind of stuff built in.
Contact seems to have some.
Yeah. So go ahead and use them. And I would even say, don't be shy about taking any one of your emails and in addition to what you already have with Aweber or whoever else. And by the way, if you're on the Instant Customer webinar, why are you using Aweber?
I don't know.
So anyways, but don't be afraid to take whatever system you're using and then go check it in one other place too, just to get a double check. Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And then send it to yourself.
Oh.
I can't tell you how many times I've sent something to myself and went, oops, got a little mistake there.
I send everything to myself.
Tags especially.
Yeah, and not only, because we do have the function where you can send a test email, but I also join the campaign and see it in real time because some of the tag, during the test emails don't have access to all the tag information that we have. So I join the campaign, delete myself to rejoin it, use 18 different email addresses.
People are being really funny on the chat right now. Yeah.
I know there were some questions.
You want to go through a couple more questions? Actually, we're done. So
no, there were a couple. You know what? There were a couple that I want to hit real quick. No, you cannot get open rates on plain text emails because that tracking pixel is not there. There's no way to access it. That is how it's done. So the answer to that is no. So again, your open rates are going to be underreported just a little bit.
Right, and the majority of people are getting HTML emails now, so for most lists, it's not going to make a big impact.
No, not like I said. They're small, underreported. I don't always look at pictures, even on my.
Oh, my email by default here in the office is turned pictures off.
See, so is mine. But most of the time on something like this, I turn them on.
Well, I was going to say a lot of people, especially if you're just getting started, you don't realize that a lot of people have pictures turned off.
Right.
So make your email look good and attractive. Keep it simple and clear. Higher success rate.
In engaging your audience, which you constantly talk about correctly, I might add.
Thank you.
I know that you do use some interactive text for polling your audience, for doing some basic survey stuff. What about using email for that same purpose?
Don't use email interactively, typically.
You don't.
I use it sporadically and where it makes sense. For example, the first email that might go out in a campaign from one of mine, I might say, hey, if you have any questions, go ahead and just reply to this email. But remember, you're going to, not to harp on the points thing, but if you do this with every single email you have, and you have a gigantic list, that's going to create a lot of extra email in your inbox that somebody has to read through. Now, is it worth it? I would say if you want somebody to contact you, push them to a phone number, because phone calls are faster and easier to deal with, and they're more immediate. And if somebody really wants to get in touch with you, they'll call.
Right. So basically, every email should have some content, some sort of offer maybe,
right,
some sort of buy opportunity, some way to contact you. So if we talk about cold leads, warm leads, hot leads, things like that,
right,
you want to take care of all of them. That's one of the main strengths of our system, is the ability to hit all of them at the same time.
Absolutely. And that's the really good way to think of these leads. Like my hot leads, I want them to call me. I want to call them. So when I use an interactive email, I would use it selectively. Somebody had a question about maybe polling the audience with an email. I think polling on an email is an awesome idea. Would I do it every single mailing? No.
And then where would you have those routed back to a custom field or routed back to your email?
Yeah, I would create custom fields. And what I might actually do? I might actually send them a link to a lead page that I put those fields up on, and use the lead page as my survey.
Like a survey, then.
Right. Just like my survey.
I've seen Mike many times just ask something in the email and say, with a hot lead type of a question, that if they need to get back, and then he has that routed to an email address so he gets it, or even to his phone, where he can get it right away.
And a lot of people,
a lot of affiliate stuff we do like that.
A lot of people on our webinar probably got an email from Mike recently asking to help name his book.
Right.
He had phenomenal response from that. And those kinds of things are valid ways to use email interactively.
He sent that, I think, to a page, right?
Yep.
Pretty sure.
Yep.
But in other things, like when we've done launches, and I actually was part of one where we sent out something that said, if you want to help us promote the launch, answer this email right away and give us your phone number or something.
Yeah.
And that came to my email, and I forwarded those.
Yeah, I'll do it something like that if somebody has the time to watch that email.
Exactly.
Because if you're having a long delay, if you're saying to people like reply right away,
and you don't have
and they do, you need to get back to them right away. Which
again, meeting expectations.
Absolutely. And that's why I tend to avoid interactive emails, because a lot of my clients don't have the staffing to answer immediately.
Interesting.
But if I push them to a phone, and they have an urgent question, they're getting their hot leads to call them.
So again, selectively for
know your audience
and know your own, what you're trying to accomplish, your own goal.
Right.
If your goal is something immediate, then go ahead and use it. If your goal is something a little more long term, maybe that's not the best.
Right.
or to push them to the page and try to give them a bonus for filling that out.
Right.
Great.
So let's summarize.
Let's summarize.
Today's summary: avoid spam filters.
Please. It helps us too. Like I said before, our delivery rates are 97% of write-up. We use a major email sender. The only time those drop down is when our users are sending spam. So you are helping the whole community by not doing that.
Right.
Or by avoiding the spam filters.
Creating relationships increases your open rates. People look forward to what you have, and if your content has value, they'll open and read it.
I'm pretty sure creating relationships is just generally good.
All right, so it's my favorite line for here. Keep it simple. Nothing crazy.
Clear directions.
Clear directions.
Let them know what to do. Like, if they're gonna get something, tell them they're gonna get something.
I've got one for you to deliver. Ready?
Please, can I? Can I? Because the formula for sex really doesn't change. Oh, did I say success? Great campaigns engage people and keep them wanting more. Come on, that's the key. You don't want people just opening your emails. You want them anticipating your emails.
Absolutely.
And of course, it's not cake to do. It takes some work there, but it's not impossible. If you know the demographic, you know what they want. It's pretty easy to be monitoring. Have somebody's Facebook account that you keep track of. That is your best customer.
Right.
A lot of the stuff I use goes to that. Who's your best customer? Keep an eye on them. Keep talking with them. Just give them what they want, and there are plenty of other people that are going to be tagging along.
Absolutely. So we have some special offers for people today too.
We do have special offers. Amazingly to me, there's still a few spots left open in Cross-Channel Mojo. Now, Cross-Channel Mojo is a really comprehensive training and mentoring program using the real-life campaigns from our most successful instant customer users over the last year. The wonderful Ms. Jean Scally has a restaurant opener module in there. I know Jody and Eric do have a lot to do with that. Michael Lemoyne has a module. Who else has got? What one are they on now?
Right now they're on office hours this week for virtual mail. No, voice messaging.
Voice messaging. So each 2-week section has a different module on.
And they're about to hit their live webinar.
Yeah, we've got a live event next week.
Next
Wednesday is the live event.
And those are lots of fun. If you're a Mojo customer, make sure you're on next Wednesday's webcast because those are a blast. And I think they are
like 5 hours long.
5 hours, yeah.
Tons of interviews and.
Mike's going to be interviewing a few of the heroes, I think.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
New heroes.
Those are tremendous. So
Michael
a tremendous amount of information, support, material. Just a really good way if you're looking for people that are using it in real life. It's a really great program. So that's crosschannelmojo.com/web for the few remaining seats there.
Right.
Now, Instant Customer is really for capturing leads, communicating with, turning prospects into sales. If you're having a hard time getting traffic to your site, if you're looking for ways to get eyeballs to your page in order to get them to sign up, Traffic Geyser is our sister company. They use video, blog, article, social media marketing to generate traffic to your page. The bottom one there is a free 21-day trial to Traffic Geyser. That's trafficgeyser.com/21days/web. If you've never tried it, please go try it. If you're having trouble getting additional traffic to your website or just into your business, it's a great way to do it. If you're looking for a combination of Instant Customer and Traffic Geyser, getting the leads, capturing the leads, communicating, and turning them into sales, that would be some sort of fusion there. So that is Main Street Marketing Machines 2.0 Fusion is an integration of both Instant Customer and Traffic Geyser. You can find out more about that and get that at mainstreetmarketingmachines.com/web.
Right.
Wonderful little partnership of our two companies.
What are we going to do next week?
Next week, we have decided to teach you guys how to maximize your thank you page. I think this is a really great topic because it gets into optimizing opt-ins versus optimizing information. Now, a lot of people might not want to give you their phone number on the the initial page.
Yeah, most people won't.
Most people won't. That's correct. So you still, if somebody doesn't want to give you a phone number, you still want to get them in. Now we have templates available in Instant Customer where you can try to get the phone number on the thank you page. Now our numbers there are about 30%, which is really good. So you can maximize both your opt-ins and the additional information of getting that cell phone number from another good 30% of your clients, so you can use the text messaging as effectively as possible.
And I'm going to share a couple of crazy off-the-wall ideas that I've used that will have you thinking of thank you pages as something other than a thank you page.
Yeah, I think if you're not using that thank you page,
there's a lot of cool things you can do.
Yeah,
that's where I get into tricks to try.
Excellent. That is going to be fun. So I want to thank everybody for coming.
Yep.
We are back on schedule for every Tuesdays. So
even if we are running late.
We always run a little bit late. We have to give them something to edit. But again, look in your inbox for links to the replay. I'll tell you what I'll do is I'll send that link to replays out to our whole list there.
Yeah, that sounds good. Replays are usually up later tonight or first thing tomorrow.
Yeah, a lot of times they're within 24 hours. Certainly they've been within 48 hours every single time.
Except for once.
That wasn't our fault. Okay, thank you again, everybody. We'll see you next Tuesday.
Yeah, thanks for joining us. Bye, guys.